behavioral specialist, child advocate, spiritual godmother, and author, Miss Ashley B, y'all. She is going to be the upcoming guest on my next episode of Real Reading Talk. Please make sure that you stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Reading Talk. I am your most gracious host, Miss Sasha. And with Real Reading Talk, I discuss the real systemic issues that are the very core, the very foundation as to why there are low levels of literacy in the Black community and the ways in which we can combat these issues together, y'all. So, just like I told you guys, I've said in previous episodes that this season, season 3, which is actually coming close to an end, okay? I said I was going to dedicate this season as much as I possibly can, making sure that I talk to Black authors, all right? Now, the last couple of episodes I was talking to some brothers who were authors, all right, which is great. I love that because I definitely love to see our Black brothers in that writing space. However, this time, y'all, I have an awesome, phenomenal sister from my hometown, Cleveland, okay? And she goes by Ashley B, the spiritual godmother, all right? And of course, she is an author. And she's the author of the book, Dude, What's That Smell? So I want y'all to give it up for Miss Ashley B. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor. Thank you.
Definitely. Oh, for sure, for sure. I just, have to say, y'all, me and this sister, of course, you know how a lot of times we meet people in the internet streets, right? And so we definitely connected, on the internet, on IG. And then we were able to meet in person. And I was able to buy copies of her book to give out to the community. So I definitely was happy about that. So I said, oh, wow. I said, oh, yeah. I said, God willing, inshallah, I'm going to have her on the show because she is going to be talking to us about this great, cool book. Okay. But first, before we do that, like I always do, I want to get into her background. All right. So I would love for you, Miss Ashley, to tell everybody about yourself.
Okay, that's a lot. So like we right here in Cleveland, Ohio. So I do represent Cleveland, Ohio. I am a mother of 3, the spiritual godmother of many. I am a creator. I'm a leader. I'm an empath. I'm a lover. I love supporting people. Very, very creative. I'm a behavioral health specialist, so I do work with children with their behavior to identify why they, react to certain situations the way that they do, so they can figure out how they can cope with that. And that's part of helping them heal their inner child. So I'm big on inner child work. Let's see, what else? You want to know what I do or just in general?
Yeah, well, you know what? Literally, right there, that is great. You know what I'm saying? Because you said a lot in that small introduction, and we're definitely going to build off of that. I love
Mm-hmm.
how that whole aspect of healing that inner child. It's like I usually don't hear that a lot, and so I love for you definitely to go in depth into that. Before we do that, though, can you please tell us like about your family background in terms of like how you grew up? Like, do you have siblings, like
Oh,
mom and dad, that type of thing. Yes.
okay, so yes, family is very important to me. I was raised by a single mother. My father passed away when I was 4, so I don't really have history of a relationship with a father. So I just say that to say because I feel like that's very important. I do have 3 siblings that I know of, 2 from my mother and 1 on my father's side. Um, I got a nice family. Most of my family is from Cleveland, Ohio, and Virginia,
Okay.
and South Carolina. That's about it.
Okay. Okay, well, that's good. I love that. So
Mhm,
let me ask you. So now let's do this in terms of the inner child piece, right? Because
mhm,
you said that you are a behavioral health specialist, which I just learned that. I'm like, wow, man. I'm like, that's dope. Because we know we need that in the Black community, definitely for sure. Trauma,
mhm,
that we deal with on a daily basis on all levels, right? So
mhm.
the whole inner child, what made you decide to go that route in terms of becoming a behavioral health specialist, and then, like you said, having that tagline of helping the inner child?
The first thing that come to my mind, because I feel like there's many factors to it, starting with my own personal journey, but the first thing that come to my mind is being a mother. Again, I have three children. My middle child is a boy. So it started off with like the school system, putting them in, having them in the public school system, and it's like for some reason, starting from daycare, every every year I would get a phone call about his behavior. At that point, at that part, I didn't understand, like, the aspects of why children react or behave the way that they do. But the fact that it's like every year during his school years, I would get calls about, I would say it would be like simple things that I didn't understand why schools would keep calling about, little, just again, simple things. And it kind of like took me back, like back into my journey and nostalgia of how I used to get in trouble. So I started doing research and just learning, like, again, what is behavior? Why do we react to certain things the way that we do? And how can we solve these issues? So I would just say, as far as me going, again, starting behavioral health, it really did start with my oldest son, of why the schools will always call about little minor things, and he would get suspended, and I didn't understand why there were no solutions inside. So it just took me on a journey. I did want to be a counselor at first. I feel like that was always in me, wanting to help people. Another thing pop up in my head with the behavior, is I used to be bullied, and that's connected to why children are bullies, because the bully is usually being bullied at home. So again, it's connected to your behavior and how you're being treated, how take care of yourself, how you love yourself, and how much you know about yourself. So if you don't really have those aspects and you're not educated on who you are, then you'll be out of alignment. And usually kids in general will react in a manner where it's not acceptable in traditional places. I
Mhm.
hope that makes sense. So um,
Yeah.
that was one of the reasons. And
Mhm.
what was the other question?
Yeah, so I mean, you pretty much, I mean, you answered that because I just, like I said, I just was wondering, like, what led you to that path of, number one, going into becoming a behavioral health specialist, and then, like you said, killing that inner child, right?
Right.
So, um, I want to stay there with the bully piece because I don't believe in coincidences, right? I believe everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. All right.
Yes. Hmm.
So interesting because I was just having a conversation with one of our elders in the community. I got to give a shout out to my dear sister, Sister Brenda. And
Hmm.
one of the things we're having a conversation about kids in terms of how they deal with situations, and how back in the day, a lot of times in the Black community, our parents did a lot of, well, not really just kind of explaining processes. It was more like, you do what I tell you to do. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You follow my instructions. You know what I'm saying? Everything was more just this reaction, or you do what I tell you to do. We don't have to have no discussion about it. I'm the parent, you the child, that's it. You know what I'm saying? Cut it short. And so,
Hmm.
and she was just saying how was she starting to understand usually what happens when people get older. um, you begin to reflect because you see how the younger people, when you see other people dealing with their children in certain ways, then you start looking, you like, wait a minute, is that really effective? And so
Hmm.
we were talking about, she gave an example of a young child who was getting bullied. And I guess the parent was like, telling the child, I mean, you just got to speak up for yourself.
Hmm.
That's like that was just it, like just the knee jerk reaction. I mean, just speak up for yourself. Like what?
Hmm.
And she was just saying how yeah, you could tell a child that, but how do they speak up for themselves? You didn't tell them how to do it. You just told them to do something. You didn't
Mhm,
explain how. So you're sitting up there expecting a child to know how to do stuff instead of you empowering them and saying,
mhm,
okay, well, let's discuss this. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about, let's give a scenario. Let's see how we can work this out so you can be empowered. You know what I'm saying? If this ever happens again. So I'm
mhm.
glad that you're in this field. So in saying that, what you know, what different things have you came across, especially by you being a behavioral health specialist? What ways or things have you given to children to help, give them strategies and empower them? Because we see a lot of bullying. I see that as a sub. I get sick of that. It just hurts my heart when I
It
see.
do hurts my heart too. Um, and I'm trying to hold on to that thought I was having when you was talking.
Oh, okay.
So I was bullied, and I like how you say like how parents say, say something, or most parents say they hit you, you better go hit them back, or
Hmm. Hmm.
person. Okay, so I'm tall, so I was always the tallest kid. So I don't know. I don't feel like I had the confidence to even tell my mother that I was being bullied. It was something that I held on to myself. I don't know why. Maybe I was afraid, or maybe I feel like for the most part I did believe a lot of the stuff that the kids were saying. It was more so like name calling versus like fighting and stuff, or physical. So I would say it was connected to my self-esteem. So even just working with children and knowing that most parents are the first bullies to their children, I just my focus is to guide them to identify who they are, like to start loving themselves, to point out their strengths, identify the things that they like to do, so they can um, start building this character of who they really are versus how they were taught, or who they were told they were supposed to be. So I would say, as far as being a behavior specialist, that's really my main focus. And a lot of the children that I do work with, they go through similar situations where their parents don't get it, or they're afraid to talk to their parents about things that happen in school, because a lot of times even the adults inside the schools, or just in in their environment, don't care, so they feel like they don't have an outlet. So just giving them a space, or teaching them techniques on how to express themselves verbally. That was one thing I didn't even, because I grew up in a household where it wasn't too much education or like conversations. It was really like I knew my mother went to work. We go to school. It's like a routine, but it was no type of connection. So I feel like a lot of the children, they don't feel like they have anybody to talk to. So I just want to, and I know I am that person that I wanted and needed when I was their age.
I'm telling you, I'm not making this up. I'm telling you, Ashley, I kid you not, literally. I took notes when I was talking to the sister early today. And some of
Mm-hmm.
the things you said in terms of not having a connection, our children, I put in my notes, our children do not feel protected by us as
Or
parents.
they don't. They don't.
Mm. And
A
you
lot. Mm-mm.
And by you saying that in terms of not having that connection, not having that, you just felt like it was just routine. And a lot of it, especially in the Black community, especially in our distressed, you know what I'm saying, economically distressed communities, that's what it would be.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when you talked about in terms of not really having conversation, because there was this study done, I think it was in the 70s, I believe, 70s or 80s, by Hart and Risley. I don't know if you heard this study where they talk about how there's that, I want to say it's a million word gap when a child gets to kindergarten, okay? And they
Mm-hmm.
think that the word gap is due to the fact that children who usually come from like impoverished homes, a lot of times, that's usually our community, Black community, or Hispanic communities as well, where you have the parents not engaging in what is called I forgot the term. It's some type, basically the conversation type of talk. Usually, our children are having what is called business talk with the parents. So the parents are giving more directions. They're like saying, did you do your homework? You know, uh, go get your clothes, you know what I'm saying, for tomorrow. Go sit down and eat. Everything is a command. Go, go, go. Not how was your day?
Right.
You know, Oh, okay, so it was good. So what was good about your day? You know what I'm saying? Tell me what was your favorite. So that type of engaging conversation are things that lack in our community. So for you saying that, I mean, I'm just like, I'm really at a awe, you know what I'm saying? And like you said, that being directly linked to a lot of our kids being bullied because they don't feel like they don't have the backing from their parents. They're going to school, and the teachers are just like, a lot of them don't like them anyway. They don't want them in the room, or they always ready, just be quiet. They don't want to hear their voices. You
Mhm.
know that, you know what I'm saying? But I don't want, I want you to expound more on that for me, what you're seeing in the community with what, you know what I'm saying, what I just mentioned.
Like even what you was just saying, like even communicate, like not even knowing how to express yourself or just vocabulary in general, having those conversations to help you improve your communication. Like I feel like I didn't start learning that, and I still have problems now to this day to communicating myself. I will say my response is kind of like flight, where if I don't want to deal with something, I'll just go the other way. And that's just part of that's just part of who I am. But I just feel like it made it worse, where it became worse because I didn't grow up having those conversations in the household. Like you said, it was always orders or and it made me think about like survival mode. So I was just thinking about so many things when you was just talking because I do have three children, like I mentioned, and my first two, they're 15, no, six, sorry, 17 and 16, and my youngest is going to be 6. So how I'm raising him is totally different than how I was raising them. I was in survival mode while I was going to work, get home, lucky if I cook dinner, put them to bed, and do the same thing over the next day. So I feel like when I got out of survivor mode, I noticed that when we are worrying about, robbing Peter to pay Paul, we don't really notice, especially when you're a single parent too. Cause I'm single parent. You don't really realize the neglect that you're putting on your children, which will stem or produce bullying. Because I feel like bullies, they just need attention. So if you're not getting attention at home, you're gonna find attention somewhere else, and it's not usually the most productive spaces or the best things to do. So I don't know.
Mm,
I just want to put that out there because that was the first thing that was on my mind. Where I learned the difference between how I was raising my two oldest versus my youngest, where I do read to him more versus I don't even remember reading to my oldest at all.
mm,
Because I don't know. I feel like even with my mom, I feel like because generations change.
yeah.
Her generation, I felt like it was more an academic environment where they did teach the kids how to read and comprehension and basic stuff. Now I feel like, the fact that she learned that in school, I feel like she assumed that we was gonna learn the same thing. So she didn't read to us. I feel like she relied on the school system to do that, where they was selling us in that area. And then it was kind of like the apple didn't fall too far from the tree, where it was kind of like I was doing the same thing, where I was thinking they was going to do the same thing with my children, and that wasn't the case. And I feel like as the generations change, it gets worse and worse. So I just say all that to say, don't. I feel like we shouldn't be relying on the school system to teach our children basic thing. I mean, we probably could talk about this later, but I really feel like we should be teaching our own children at home. But if you are going to put your children in public school systems, don't rely on them to teach them basic reading and writing, because they're not doing that. If anything, they passing them without them even being able to know how to do simple basic skills.
Mm.
Mhm.
Definitely. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna tell you something right now. I'm gonna work back. The first thought that came in my head is this: in terms of passing them, I remember subbing in a class about a month ago, and it was a sixth grade class, and the teacher had wanted the kids to look up these words and write down the definition, right?
Mhm.
So, and I said, okay, and I'm looking at the words, and I'm like, and so I was asking that because the words were like they weren't like just simple, like basic, like for example, maybe a word like calendar, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like that. It was a word more like ostentatious, you know what I'm saying? Or, just giving examples, right? And I'm like, and so the one girl, she was doing pretty cool, right? But the other girl that was sitting next to her, I'm telling you, Ashley, she was barely able to even sound out the words.
Mhm.
Like, and I was like, your teacher, I said, your teacher just told y'all to just like look up these words like on your own and like
Mhm.
not make sure that like she didn't go over the words with y'all and like to make sure that you know how to say them. So like, no, she just tell us to go and do it, you know. So of course, if you have a kid who they know how to do it and do it on their own, they cool. But here,
Right.
I said, here the one girl, six, she in the same grade, same classroom with her. And she like, she just kind of like, and I was just like, and I'm sitting up here like, Ashley, literally, I'm like, she needs some help big time. I'm talking about on basic, like trying to sound out words and putting the,
Mhm.
I'm like, what is going on? So to your point, we definitely need to take that ownership and empower our children and make sure that we are teaching our children, making sure that we're reading to them. And I'm glad that you said in terms of, I wanted to ask you though, that's what I wanted
Mhm.
to ask you too as well. So if you don't mind me asking, like, so what generation did your mom grow up in? Like, cause
Uh,
and the only reason I'm asking, because I know that, I know you said that you felt like in her generation, they were more academic. Cause I'll be 50 this, you know what I'm saying, this year.
well, she's
So,
5,
okay,
so
okay. So she got me. Okay. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? So okay. So I see definitely. So, okay. Cause
And
yeah.
then she went to Whitney Young. So back then, Whitney Young, you had to be accepted in Whitney Young.
And I
So
wanted to
it,
go there so bad.
uh, I know I be able to go there, but just even having a mother that's academically smart, like she was
Yeah.
hard. Like you know how they be like,
Um,
Johnny had 3 apples, and like she was one of those mothers. Like if you ain't get it right, she'll
yeah.
get mad. Like she'll start calling you names and stuff. So I feel like that doesn't work either because all children they don't learn the same way, and they it's different levels. So um, I don't know. That just made it even harder for me to even want to learn or even go to her for anything. And then also when you was talking, when I was in high school, and I do want to say I feel like if you identify what one of your favorite classes is in school, and English and art was one of mine, that can tell you a lot about things that you will be your strengths or things that you could be very successful in your career. And English, again, English and art was one. And one of my favorite teachers was Mr. Kerduba at Bedford High School. And he didn't give up on us. Like like sound it out. Like he made us like take our time and like really break down every sentence. If you didn't get that sentence from the beginning to the period, you would have to keep reading it until you understood what it was saying. So it's not really to me, reading is really knowing how to comprehend things, not just reading the words. Because a lot of kids they think they can read, but they don't understand the meanings of word. And I really appreciate him for putting that into my I won't forget that, like putting that into my head to like take your time and read and make sure you understand each sentence into before you go on to the next sentence. So we just need more teachers like that is all I'm gonna say.
Oh, well, I hope that what say his name again,
But
Mr.
I feel like I think he passed away, but it was Mr. Cordoba. Mr.
Oh,
Cordoba.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
that right there, I mean that's awesome. That's how you know a teacher has made an impact. You know what I'm
mhm. No, for real.
saying? Because right there, I mean, you said, I mean, really, and that's the thing, comprehension is the meat to reading. That's what I always tell, you know what I'm saying, my students, because I'm a reading tutor, pre-K through fourth grade. And that's
Mhm.
something I always stress, like, okay, the comprehension part is where the reading comes in at, because you can do what is called word calling. You know, you can say the words and you can be articulate. You know, that was my thing. I always was, I can read those words, like, you know what I'm saying? But again, can you recall? Can you retell, you know, what it was that you read? And that's where a lot of our kids struggle from, and people don't understand, just like what you said, simple things. And I want you to talk to the audience about that too, in terms of just give everybody example, after I say this piece, with your own children, like just having basic conversations, you know what I'm saying. I remember, it's funny, I just thought about something, like I remember seeing you put a video on IG, and I remember
Mhm.
you was having a conversation, you was think you was walking with your son somewhere or something. You know what I'm saying? This is like last year or something. And I was
Okay.
just thinking, I was watching the video, and I was just like, I said, look at this sister here. You know what I'm saying? She was having this conversation with her son, and he just talking. I don't know if y'all, I think, or was y'all in the car? I think it may have been either y'all was walking one time, and then there was another time y'all was in the car or something like that. But I
Mhm.
remember you having this engaging conversation with your baby. And I was just like, I said, these are like these moments. This is what our people need to see. Can you speak to that, please? Like how, just instances where you've done that and how important it is for our babies.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out which time because I do like to I share that for those purposes. So people, because you don't know what you don't know until you know. You know what I'm saying? So if you see somebody that's reading to their children, I was that's the reason why I was doing it. It probably kind of sparked something in your head to do the same. Um, I don't really recall what we were doing in that video, but again, we do a lot of videos. Um, I don't know. It's just kind of like exposure to me, exposing him. It's a different world. So social media, being comfortable with the camera, um, like really kind of probably showing people how kids express themselves in different ways. Um, I don't know. It just if it comes to me and I want to do something on live or share it with people, I just share it because I know all children are smart. Makai definitely taught me that as a parent. But just to prove that, because Makai's only 5, and he last year, if you're talking about last year, he was only 4. That it doesn't matter how old they are, babies can start reading, they can start comprehending, they know what they want, they know left from right early in life. So just really kind of sharing that to people that don't underestimate a child because children are they know more than what we think they know. So, or even when Makai was like when he was before he even turned 1, he could read. And not just like I feel like it was memory reading. Like if because I was reading to him and he'll be on YouTube and they'll read it to him as well. I don't think he actually knew the word, but just the memory of knowing what words come next. That can help a child learn how to read too. So just even back to the video thing, it's just me showing and sharing that all children can all children are smart. You just got to put them in an environment and create spaces for them to be able to express themselves and show them what they really got. So
That's
that's probably yeah.
That's dope. Like, so, and then that's great. I'm glad I want to build off that a little bit more because what I'm doing is just I'm trying to give people, especially those who
Okay.
sometimes they struggle with like just basic things. They be thinking like they have to what do you call, like, recreate the wheel. They feel like they have to just do something just so outlandish in
Mm-mm.
simple things like having a simple conversation. So say for example, you pick your son up from school.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things, some like conversation starters, okay, that you may have had with your son? I know we get the typical "How was your day?" Right? You know what I'm saying? But how do you build off of that and to get your son to engage with you? And I know some people are listening like, well, everybody's child is different. Some kids they may not, depending on the age and the personality, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying in terms of just trying to develop something to where you are empowering your child so they understand that they have a voice, that they
Mm-hmm.
to
So that made me think about my clients because again, I only have one child that go to school. My youngest, he'll never step foot in a public school. So any great school,
hello.
homeschools, let me know. And that's totally different than traditional schools. But so the youngest one, he doesn't go to school. But think about like with my clients, like just ask them like, how was your day? Most kids don't even get asked how was their day, and that can guide the conversation to a whole nother dimension. Um, but just like a lot of times they don't tell me, what
Okay,
did you learn?
yeah, okay, there we go.
They ain't learned nothing. They always say, I ain't learned
I
nothing.
know.
And then they go into conversations. Well, what you mean you didn't learn nothing? And then they'll maybe tell me a situation about a teacher or an incident or something that was unfair. And it always ends up with me, just giving them motivation to speak up for themselves. So I would feel like if in that area, it's just more so what's finding out what's on that child's mind. Because you never know. If you open up that conversation, like you said, don't start off with how was school, because most of the time kids don't want to talk about school. We out of school, we don't talk about that no more. And some do. But just ask them, how was their day, or what you eat for lunch? I don't know. Just, I wouldn't start off with how was school, but it is, I don't know. You never know where the conversation gonna go. But again, for the most part, the children that I ask, they usually don't get asked that. And it's always a situation where it may be on their mind all day, and me just asking that simple question helps them to kind of express their feelings and get some clarity of if they reacted in the right way or what can they do better. So.
Mm-hmm. And I think, and to me that says a lot though, because you, like, even with my, I have a couple of few of my children, they are in high school. My youngest, I am still homeschooling him. However, he definitely is like, okay, he wants to get a taste, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he's been in traditional school before, you know what I'm saying? But I like totally just kept him since, you know what I'm saying, the pandemic and everything. I just pretty much like kept him, you know what I'm saying, here and homeschooling them. However, it's so interesting that you said a lot of kids, they don't ever want to, it's like they feel like I'm done. It's almost like, and
And
I,
it's like that. You should want to go to school.
but see, that's what I was about to speak to. I'm like, it's like they got these schools where they're like, okay, they're sitting up here concerned about enrollment, because that's the thing they're dealing with in Cleveland. They're dealing with that in East Cleveland. Like, a lot, they don't have the enrollment that they once had. A lot of parents are taking their kids out, whether it's putting them in like a private school, charter, or homeschool. But definitely enrollment has gone down tremendously. But a big thing though is that these kids are going to school, and it's like they can't wait to get. They're like, man, I don't want to talk about. I'm I'm just curious. What is your take on that? I mean, I know, you know what I'm saying? I know, because we both coming from the same, you know what I'm saying, mindset. That's why I believe we definitely connected. So, but what, can you give me some ideas, you know what I'm saying, in terms of what you see, why these kids are not engaged in these schools?
Okay, so I would say it's different type of children. So the ones that are would like looking forward to going to school is because they probably have a good teacher, like they teacher, they got friends or classmates. But for the most part, the kids, they go to school because they know they're not about to learn. They about to just go there and have fun, and it gets trouble.
Thank you.
Stuff I know. They don't want to go. They don't want to go for the most part is because they're not learning what they want to learn. The information is so obsolete that I don't even know why we even sending our kids to these schools. And again, it depends on what school your kid go to. I have a son that go to John F. Kennedy. He go there for fun. He don't go there to learn. I'm just gonna be honest with you. He go there to have fun. And that's acceptable because they don't care. He knows they don't care. We have conversations all the time. So these kids know they don't care. There's no structure. There's no real guidance. It's really like sending your kids to daycare. But for the most part, what I feel like they don't want to go because they're not learning things that they actually want to learn. It made me think one of the reasons why I did become an advocate is because even my mother, I feel like a parent should be with their child long enough or observe their children to know what their talents is, what their superpowers is. That's what I call it, their superpowers, and be able to put them in classes where it will gain their interest. Like my mother put me in music. I don't like music. I can't sing, but I can draw real good. I didn't know that until middle school when I had an art class and he let us freestyle. I'm like, dang, I could draw. So again, I just feel like they go into classes that they don't have no interest in whatsoever. And a lot of these kids, because of technology, they know the stuff that they learning is not even going to be conducive to any type of success that they're going to have in their future. So again, they're not dumb. They're smart. They know what's going on for the most part. So it's boring. That, like, long story short, it's boring. A lot of these schools have the wrong adults in there. I've worked in schools. I'm not going to say no names, but for the most part, all schools I've been to in the Cleveland public, majority of the teachers shouldn't even be teachers. They're just, I think we talked about that earlier. They're just there probably just for, I don't know if it's for the check. I don't know, but they're not there to actually learn what who the student is. They're just there for, like you said, numbers, the grades, enrollment.
Mm.
So they're not, I don't feel like they're there for the right reasons. I know they're not there. Most of them are not there for the right reasons. And again, kids are not dumb. I want to get this, whoever watching this, kids are not dumb. They're not dumb. And to be honest, I hang around children because I feel like they're smarter than adults, because
Mm.
they're creative genius. We are creative genius, but the older we get and we get into survival mode, we get detached. Again, that inner child of who we are, our godlike energy, our purpose, our passions. We get connected get disconnected from that energy because we're being systematically designed. It's like we're being designed to be taught how to be in survival mode, or be robots, or again be put on a slave plantation. So they're not having fun no more. It's not fun to them. And I believe kids should have fun until they get to the 12th grade. I think all kids should have recess. I feel like a lot of things should be different within these schools. So again, long story short, it's boring, and there's no real substance there,
Mm.
for real.
Mm. Honey, all the stuff that you said, I mean, I co-sign on exponentially. I'm just like, and I thank you, and I'm glad that they're hearing it, from you, because of the fact that, I've definitely talked about these things before, but I love to hear when you have other people in the community who
Mm,
seen a lot of the same stuff, and it's like for you to be able to articulate that. And one of the things that I love that you said, that we as parents, that's a good one, we should
mm,
have our children long enough to be able to observe what it
mm,
is that they have as their gifts and their talents, and to help draw it out, because that's what education, if I'm not mistaken, comes from the whole word educate. It's like a Greek word, to bring out, to
right.
out of something, right? And so what you said is something, again, us as parents, because we're the first educators, and I
Yes.
and that's where a lot of times in the Black community, a lot of us have dropped the ball, but all of it is done by design, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
You're in survival mode. If you know you got to pay the bills, you got to pay the rent, you got to pay, if you first got your house, now you got to do the mortgage, the lights, the gas, water, all of that. Now you like, okay, I got to be gone. Okay, my
Mm,
baby can't be here by themselves. You know what I'm saying? Whether you are a married couple or, divorced, single, whatever, you know what I'm
mm,
saying? 9 times out of 10, the adults got to work. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like, okay, kids can't be at home. So you got to, so it's like, I got to put them in school. So
Mm-hmm.
now it's lack of connection. Now you just putting them somewhere. And like you said before, don't have, the resources in the schools. A lot of these teachers, and it's just so sad. Oh God,
It is. Mm-hmm.
it's
And
hurts.
and I can't really expect nobody to give something that they don't give to themselves. How can you observe your child or learn about your child, or help your child learn more about themselves if you don't know about who you are? And that's a forever journey. But I feel like we we don't even have the knowledge or the space or provide or create the time for ourselves to even start that process, because we are in survival mode. And to be honest with you, it took me to go through a situation where I couldn't work. I had to move out and live somewhere with my children, on a family member on they dad's side, to really just have a peace of mind to be able to think. Like, I didn't have to worry about paying no bills. I didn't have to worry about going to work. All I had to do was focus on my children. And the more that I was able to do that, that opened my mind to be able to see things for what it really was. So to be honest, I feel like until we take the time to figure out how we gonna get ourselves out of survival mode, and it's not easy, we gonna continue this cycle over and over. So that's what really helped me to start this journey and going to school. I wanted to be a teacher, and then I thought about it, and I was a counselor did discourage me, told me I wanted to be an art teacher. And she told me, well, you're not going to be able to get a job to be an art teacher. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe I could be like a second grade or third grade teacher. And then I thought about it, like, they'll probably kick me out because I'm not going to be teaching them the stuff that they want me to teach them. I'm going to teach them stuff that they really need to know. And I learned all that from, again, going visiting my son's school, because I'm like, let me see what's going on. Now, y'all keep calling me. I need to go in the classroom and see what y'all are talking about. And I went in there like, they bored. Like, I went in there for a good 30 minutes. In the first 15 minutes, I asked the teacher, well, can I do something with them? And it was something fun. They had to make a rap or something out of the book they was reading, and they enjoyed it, and that made them want to do the assignment. She was doing something that was like, they was doing something totally different, and she's yelling at them, but she's not noticing, realizing. And she was a white woman, so she has no connection to their culture or, their interest. So I feel like she didn't have no clue what to do with them. So just imagine all the other teachers that are teaching our children, they have no clue or no connection to our culture. So I just knew that if I went to the schools, they're probably, I don't know, I hear these stories that they get fired or they get in trouble for teaching a curriculum that's not part of the curriculum that's provided. And when I went to college, I learned that that stuff is all white bias. It's designed for them to fail. Like you said, they use words that they know they're not going to use. They may, if you use it in a different term or connotation, they'll probably get it. But if you're using words that they don't use every day or at home, they're not going to know what you're talking about. And they can't use dictionaries or, well, I don't know how it is now because you got Chat GPT and everything. So, but I feel like they should be able to use these tools to help them with their work. And I never understood. Well, I know that it's designed for them to be slaves on a plantation, on a work plantation. So they want them to memorize things and be like robots. So they'll never make it easy for them in a public school system. But I just feel like, and I kind of lost my train of thought, but it is white bias and it's not a coincidence. They know what they're doing. And I feel like parents should know that. And it was kind of sad. It was sad. And when I went to community college, I went to Lakeland, and I was in my sociology class, and I didn't even know what sociology was until then. And I fell in love because I learned so much. It was like I wasn't taught this at home, and it was like something I felt, but I didn't know for sure until I went there to understand that this stuff is created and is designed a way for us to fail at the end of the day. So I wish more parents would know that they actually sending their children to a system that don't have their best interests at heart.
Yeah,
and I fought our own children.
No, really, mic drop on that real. I mean, those who are listening to this episode, you already know what it is. I mean, that's why it's called Real Reading. There's real reading talk means there's no sugarcoating, there's no chaser. I want the guests to come on here and you talk frankly and what I'm saying, clearly, what I'm saying, making it plain and saying like these are the things that we're seeing, in our communities. And we have to be on a mission to be able to combat these things. So now this brings me into a segue into that awesome book that's in front of you. So first, I want you to tell everybody, number one, when did you get the title of the book? When did you come up with the idea to write this book? And especially that title, man. I want you to say the title, and you know what I'm saying. When did you come up with it? And what is it? What's the process? You know what I'm saying. What was your process in writing this book?
I got you. Well, that is a good connection because the idea came about when I was going to Lakeland. I was staying out in Painesville. We was like the only Black people in our apartment complex. So I had a lot of time to just sit with myself and think. I don't know. I'm a creator. So when I think of something, I want to get to it. So it originally started with my son. He helped me with the idea. I wanted to create a children's book. It was my first children's book. So it was around the time when nobody was thinking about writing a book. I just wanted to, so let me rewind. So I do know when I was in that space, when I had to live with my children's aunt, I wrote down everything that I wanted to do. I wanted to accomplish. So I kind of manifested it. And I read a lot of books, and I forgot who the author was, but he was basically, I can't remember his name, but I know he's a Black guy, and he was basically teaching us how to have at least 7 sources of income, and books was one of them. So I'm like, all right, one day I'm gonna have my own. I didn't even say children, but I was gonna have my own book. But it kind of went in my head and out. I wrote it down, and I didn't think no more of it until the idea came back to me. And I ain't gonna lie, I don't really remember how it really came about, but I do remember my son. My daughter just reminded me today that it wasn't her, it was him. That was gonna work. He was gonna be the illustrator, and I was gonna be the writer. And I knew I wanted the book to rhyme. Um, I remember looking at my children's books, and it was always characters, white characters that didn't look nothing like them. It was words that they couldn't kind of like resonate with. So I knew I wanted to be words that they can be familiar with. I wanted the character to be somebody that they could connect with. I knew I wanted to be a rhyming book because I'm always rhyming, and funny because I like funny children's books. So it did take a process. I don't even remember how long it took me to actually get the book done. But that's really how it came about. Just sitting one day, I don't know, I can sit here right now and think of an idea and want to do it. So that's just really how I operate. I'm a creator. So things just flow in my head all day. I might not get to them right away or not at all, but I have ideas for days. So it was just an idea that came about after manifesting and writing that down. Oh, I want to say his name was Claude. You know who I'm talking about. Claude.
Dr. Claude Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Claude Anderson, the one who the
Yeah.
author of Powernomics and
Yes. Because again, I love information. I love knowledge. I love.
yeah.
I was on I was watching a YouTube, and he was just teaching, and he was just talking about the 7 sources of income that we all should have.
Oh.
And writing a book, because he said it was always like royal. That's when I learned the word royalties, and it could always be money flowing in. So I was like, oh, that's a good idea.
Wow.
That's really where it came from. When I first initially wrote the idea down. And I didn't even know at first that I was creating a conglomerate, like a parent company, and then breaking it down because I knew I wanted to do fashion, and I just had a whole bunch of ideas. So it just started for me writing the idea down, and then I just put it out there into the universe, and it came back to me. So I will say that it's very powerful, writing things down. Tell my children that all the time. Write your ideas down so it can be sound, so you can be clear on what you want. And it might not happen right away, but I guarantee you that it will come across your path sooner than later. So that's really how I feel like that's really how it came about. It's just manifesting it.
That is super dope.
I'm sorry that a long time for me to get to that, but
No, really, because that's how stuff happens, right? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, we gotta that's why I said, what's your process? And you actually were demonstrating for everybody, how people think, you know what I'm saying, about how ideas come about, you know what I'm saying? And everybody has their own methodology. And to me, I feel like there's no right or wrong way. But one of the things that I'm glad that you said, because this is something that I talk a lot about, and I keep but that's why I keep notebooks in my purse. Write stuff down, because you can literally, as we know, you know what I'm saying, you might be, you know what I'm saying, especially a lot of times, we be driving, you know what I'm saying, you like an idea come, and it's like, man, you know what I'm saying, you be listening to a podcast, or you know what I'm saying, you just, listen to whatever, you know what I'm saying, or you might not have nothing on at all, you know what I'm saying, and something come to your mind, it's like, try to write it down, you know what I'm saying, right then and there, so that that idea does not escape, because you never know, it can turn into that book that you have. What? So the title, of course. Wait, say that again. I'm sorry, you broke up.
No, I just like that's real important. Like write it down, because you think you won't forget, and you will forget. I don't care who you is, you will forget. Yep. So write it down. But yes, the title is called "Dude, What's That Smell?" It's by me, and it's illustrated by my daughter, Ziki Pro.
Oh, yes, that's right. Oh my goodness. I just love that. How was that? I mean, so when it obviously, because I mean, has your daughter, she's always been an artist, like you saw, is that something you saw in her? Okay, she got you.
Got it from me. Again, that's one of the superpowers that I first found out about myself, was I could draw. And I recognized that I learned that she could draw before she even went to kindergarten, and that's why I put her in the Cleveland School of the Arts. So
Okay, all right, okay, cool. I love that. And so it was like pretty much a no-brainer when you came up with the idea of the book. It was like you came to your kids, you know what I'm saying? Well, no, you said your son, he
My
was
oldest.
the
Mm-hmm.
oldest son. He was the one who
Mm-hmm.
started talking about, because the book, I mean, can you tell everybody, just kind of give everybody a summary of like what the book, I mean,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I,
So it is it's a funny, engaging book. It's a
uh-huh.
rhyme. Um the main character Z, he's awaking out his sleep to this funky odor, and he goes throughout the house trying to figure out what that smell is. And every time he he sniffs through his nose, and then the audience, whoever you read this to, has to say, "Dude, what's that smell?" And the children, they love that. They be saying that all day. So I love that it is engaging. The characters, I want to show y'all some of the characters.
Yeah.
So this is Z right here.
Mhm.
And my daughter's name is Zanaya, so that's where the character's name came from,
Okay.
of her first name. And it is dedicated to my youngest son, Makai. Once we actually was able to get it published, we
Okay.
dedicated to. I'm not gonna tell you what the smell is, but if you
No,
put
don't
two,
tell, no, yeah, don't, yeah, because we want the people to get the book, but yeah, okay, okay.
there's some of the illustrations.
I love it. Wow.
And the children, I like it because it does show a family dynamic, a father, mother, siblings. Um, they kind of resonate with the characters. She flattening her hair. You don't see most books where they flattening their hair. So I wanted her to, make sure she just she shows that in her illustrations. So the kids, when they seeing it, it's not. It helps them to know that they are part of the book. And I feel like when you feel part of the book, it will help you and make you want to read more.
Yes.
I'm gonna
That's
show
good.
you
Yeah.
one more.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I
So
love it. And I love like the little green, you know what I'm saying? That's showing that funky order.
yeah. And then I have the words highlighted because one of the important things is, again, the literacy. It does share different ways where you can describe things that smell. So it's different words that describes odors. It comes with a word search. The words are in the book and they're highlighted throughout the book. So I feel like that helps them to learn new words. Again, they resonate with the characters. It's funny. They're engaging, so it keeps their attention. And it's dope. So I don't know what else to say about it. I love this. I'm very proud of myself. So the first time we introduced this book was at my youngest son's birthday party. We had an event, and I actually finished the book that day. So I know I'm real creative, and I do work real good under pressure. So I do want to say, like, the book was completed like it was the day of the event. So I just wanted to share that. But
Yeah, no, I'm glad you, honey,
mm,
you got some deep talents, okay? You know, artists, and then you writing. Oh my goodness. I mean, this is what this right here. I love these kind. That's what I always talk about when I have guests on Real Reading Talk. It's a conversation. You know, I don't want it to feel like we're some stuff having some stuffy interview. I
mm,
I love to have fun. I love to laugh, and I love to just kind of kick it and chill. You know, so that right there, you know, that just really just made my heart just really feel warm and all fuzzy. I just love it. So what I want to do, so because we're coming up to the end of the podcast, so two things. Number one, I wanted you to just share, which you have pretty much throughout the podcast, but if you can condense maybe just three tips that you want to
mm.
give to the community to help empower them, to help getting their kids into reading. Okay, so that's one thing, and then the other thing, the last question is I want to ask you is, what does reading is freedom? What does that mean to you when you hear that statement? So first, the three things, you know, if you can just give like three quick tips on to help getting, you know, just engaging our kids, trying to get them to read more.
Okay.
Want to
The
read.
first thing I would say is all children don't like to read. Okay. So you have to find out their reading styles. Sometimes it's audio, and it doesn't have to be a book. It could just be, you could be, depending on their age, point out things for them to read or introduce, like the stop sign that says stop. That's things that I do with Makai. And it's so natural to me. So I'm trying to really think about things that I can provide. So know your child's reading style. That helps. And maybe it's just audio. Sometimes if it's just audio, they store words in they brains like that. So they don't necessarily have to be reading word from word. They can just hear the words and they can learn by reading like that. I don't personally read like that, but just know that every child doesn't have to read a book to actually know how to read, or to, to read in general. They can listen to audio or videos with the words on the screen where it's showing the pictures. Because some kids just like animation. I don't know if that was one or two. Let me see.
I like how you talked about the whole writing piece. A lot of times people forget that writing and reading are connected. They're like, brother and sister, if you will. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you talked about writing down your ideas.
Okay.
What do you think about that? Just, encouraging our parents, encouraging our caregivers to do more of that with their kids.
Yeah, or like just like ask them like questions about themselves and just have them write it on a piece of paper. Like, what's your favorite color, or what do you want to be when you grow up? And not just to help, that won't just help them to learn how to, comprehend and, read and write, but that also help you to identify what they like, and also give them the space to open up their minds to the possibilities. Um, would recommend, like, it's like journaling. It's a form of meditation to open up their mind. So I will say that, like, just ask them a simple question. You can get a conversation deck. I got one around here. And just ask simple, it helps to ask simple questions, personal questions, and just have them write their answer down. Another thing I will say, they're not gonna do something. Like, a lot of times we think our kids gonna do what we tell them to do. They do what they see us do. So you start reading, and that will encourage and, inspire them to read as well. So that would be the three things you got to be doing, what you enforcing your children to do. Again, journal prompts, giving them questions to write the answer to, that will open their mind and their imagination to a whole nother world. And what was number one? And just knowing your child's reading style.
Yeah, yeah.
That's,
That's perfect. That's
mm,
perfect. You know what I'm saying? Period, point blank. This is not, as we love to say, it ain't rocket science. This is not, having to solve some hard mathematical equation. Literally, it's just something simple. Just like how you was pretty much your consistent theme throughout the conversation was
mm,
having conversations, having those engaging conversations. I love the fact that your book was created. It was created from love by you and your kids. You know what
mm,
I'm saying? Your son's idea, then you got, your daughter, she's the artist, and then you dedicate the book to your youngest son. I mean,
mm,
that is like just so empowering. And I just love the fact how, just even when you're speaking about your children, just how you just look calm, you look like you just full of love and just full of
oh,
warmth. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
Literally. And these are like little small details and things I know that I pay attention to. And I just
mm,
think when we highlight those things, people have, hopefully maybe they'll start, incorporating that within their own selves. Because
mm,
when you talked about with the survival piece, when you're in survival mode, a lot of times it takes away our smiles. It takes away the warmth.
humanity for sure. Oh,
Yes.
I'm so passionate about that. So I 100% agree with you. And I just wanted to add also, and I feel like it's not rocket science either, but just start reading before they even born. Like, reading to your pregnant belly, or just reading to them when they're babies. Like, I feel like we underestimate children and how their brains work. The
Mhm.
more we do stuff, the more that it becomes a pattern and a habit that they create for themselves. So just read as early as possible. When you
Mhm.
find out you're pregnant, start reading to your baby. Play jazz music, that'll stimulate their brain as well. So again, you can't give nothing to somebody else that you're not giving to yourself. So start with yourself first, and then you'll be able to gravitate that energy to your children.
Come on.
That's my message for that.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Last piece. What
Mm-hmm.
what does reading is freedom? What does that mean to you when you hear that statement? Reading is freedom.
So I don't know if I explained it earlier, but to me it's really like understanding words. It's kind of like thinking about the law. Like you can read something, but if you don't break it down, or like Mr. Cordoba, like break it down so you can know what's going on. Like that's what's reading is freedom to me, is knowing what you are reading, being able to articulate and comprehend what you are reading so you can know how to make choices or know what direction to go in. So it's just really knowing what you are reading versus just reading, because anybody can read, but do you understand what it means? So just understanding and comprehending,
I
to,
love it.
and that's freedom. Like, because I don't know. I just think about, like, when you go to court or like you read laws and stuff, you don't understand that stuff. But if you break it down, you can fight against it. If you don't know what you're fighting against because you don't understand it, then you will lose. So just to me, that's what I'm trying to say is understand what you're reading, because it's always a way out of something, or it's another way to go about doing something. And if you don't even know what direction to go in, then you kind of like a prisoner to your own reality. So um reading freedom to me is understanding what you're reading so you can know how to navigate in your life.
Come on, girl.
Yeah.
Mic drop, mic drop. Well,
Thank you.
Miss Ashley, literally, this conversation was dope. I
Mm-hmm.
like it so giddy when I talk about, Black people being empowered through literacy, through us, breaking these what is it, the trans generational, curses, of always in survival mode,
Mm-hmm.
can't be in thriving mode. So when I have a conversation with somebody who's there, man, this is my happy place. So I appreciate you tremendously. And I
Mm-hmm.
want you to tell everybody, number one, where they can follow you, and most importantly, where they can purchase, where they can buy your book. Come on.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so you can follow me on Instagram at Ashley B Child. Hold on. On Instagram is Ashley B underscore childhood advocate. That's where I share resources and things that I provide to our community. My website is ashleybchildhoodadvocate.org. You can purchase the book on there. It's a link on there to purchase the book. If you stay in the Cleveland surrounding cities, I think I said that right. We can deliver it to you. We'll drop it off at your doorstep. They are $15 because they're signed copies, and me and my daughter know that everything that we create is valuable, so it will become more. It will be worth more in the future. So there are signed copies, or you can purchase it on Amazon for $11.11. And we are working on getting it into more places. So that's the goal right now.
Oh wow. I love it. Hey y'all better cop that book. That's number one. And make sure y'all follow this sister. Uh,
Mm,
she has been dropping the jewels, the gems, the nuggets, the dimes, whatever you want to call it. You know how we be saying in our community. You know what I'm saying? Keeping it
mm,
real a buck, and
mm.
just with love. So again, I want to thank you for being a guest on Real Reading Talk. And I just pray that you have continued success. You're already successful, but that your success grows exponentially.
Absolutely, and you as well. And I just want to say this before we get on. This was the best interview I had. I don't know, and I would say I love your questions, but I felt more now I want to say welcome. It was more comfortable. It was, I don't know the right word to say it, but I just felt the
All that.
energy.
That's good.
It's a vibration, it's a frequency. So to you, congratulations on what you are creating, what you have created, and what you are going to create. Good luck to you. And again, thank you, because this is beautiful. And I tell everybody about ABC Read because I love the books. Like, you very intentional about the books that you provide. So I look forward to the events that you have. And also they could look forward, if they follow me on Instagram, I do have reading events coming up.
Okay.
So I will be sharing that soon, where they can get free books and they can hear me read. Dude, what's that?
Well, that'll be great. And I'm gonna say this right here on the podcast. I would love for you to be a speaker, be a guest at one of our reading events. That would be
Mm,
dope. You know,
yeah,
you bring your book, and then of course we'll purchase more copies, and that would be great. And you can pretty much, you know what I'm saying, just like how you talked about here in terms of like your process in writing the book, the community needs to hear that. So I'm
Mhm.
asking you right now. So hopefully you will accept that invitation when we get ready to have, our reading.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I
I,
teach people how to write their own book. So, but absolutely, thank you.
oh my
Yes.
goodness, you are very welcome.
Mhm.
Well, everybody, again, this has been another episode of Real Reading Talk, and I am your most gracious host, Miss Sasha. And I hope that you all enjoyed this conversation between Miss Ashley B and myself. And please remember to keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. And of course, remember, reading is freedom. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Hey, y'all. I hope you all had your notebooks, your pens, your pencils, whatever it was that you needed to take notes with, because as you all heard, the gems were being dropped, the jewels, the nuggets, whatever you want to call it, the dimes. Okay, I hope you all was just scooping them up for real. All right. Talking to Miss Ashley B was one of the most liberating conversations that I've had with any of my guests, because I love how just the vulnerability. I love how just with her, even when she would answer certain things and she's like, you know what, I'm not for sure how to, I don't know if I'm saying this right or whatever, but she just was speaking from the heart. And you could definitely tell that she cares, and she cares about our youth. And I love that piece with healing that inner child, right? We all are dealing with that on some level. I truly believe some more than others. And so I'm glad that you all were able to engage in our conversation, and make sure that y'all cop that book, y'all, okay? Dude, what's that smell? Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm gonna make sure that I have the link in the description box so you can make sure that you purchase copies for your family. And again, I am a pre-K through fourth grade reading tutor. The name of my reading tutoring business is ABC Learn Tutoring. So if your child is dealing with issues of connecting the sounds to letters, which is phonemic awareness, a lot of the kids who are in that pre-K kindergarten stage, they struggle with that. Also, reading comprehension, most definitely fluency, and just that overall confidence. These are things that I'm able to help your children with. I've been a reading tutor for 17 years. I'm also an Orton Gillingham, which is this top-notch dyslexia program that a lot of folks who wind up becoming dyslexic tutors. I'm certified in that. So make sure that you click the link on my website, abclearntutoring.com, for the free reading assessment. And I tutor in person and virtually, so I can help anybody. All right. Pre-K through fourth grade. And also, I'm the founder and executive director of ABC Read, which is a nonprofit organization. We've given away over 6,000 books, and our goal is to give away 10,000 books by the end of 2024. Inshallah, God willing, we will reach that goal. But the only way we're able to do things like that, give away the books that majority represents our people and culture, and have dope reading events, is from the community like you, making sure that you are sharing our posts. So follow us on IG, follow us on Facebook, follow us, those who are on LinkedIn, please connect with me on LinkedIn as well. abc.read on IG, and then follow my Facebook page, ABC Read, and go to abcread.org, or just simply go to the Cash App, $ABC Read, to donate. All right. Also, please make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Reading is Freedom. This episode will be up on there. There's a plethora of read alouds as well for you to choose from, a whole bunch of them, so you can cuddle up with your kids and enjoy those stories being read aloud. All right. Reading is freedom. You see that? You see the dopeness, right? You see the read, right? You see the shirt, right? Reading is freedom, okay? Go to readingisfreedom.store. This is the kind of gear that you need on, all right? So that you can create those conversations around literacy. You know, you don't know how many times people have seen these shirts and they're like, oh, that is, I like that. Reading is freedom. You know, oh man, that's where you get that from. Readingisfreedom.store. I created that. All right. Oh my God, what? So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We all need to be rocking this, all right? So make sure you go and purchase your shirt, your hoodie, or your sweatshirt, or your mug, or your bag, okay? And I always like to leave you all with a quote. And I'm going to leave the quote is, once you learn to read, you will be forever free. And that was from Frederick Douglass. And also the last thing, 2 books. The first book I want to recommend that you all get is Meditate to Elevate. All right. So I just interviewed this brother, had a great conversation with him on my podcast, Brother Khalil Muhammad. Meditate to Elevate, Harnessing Your Superpowers in a World of Chaos. So this book pretty much just talks about, the ways in which meditation is helpful, what is meditation, how it's beneficial, and how we can do meditation. Meditation is not just something where you always have to sit around on the floor, on your bed with the candles and saying, it's not like that. Okay, you can have that, but he talks about how you can just literally just be anywhere and just tap into your inner self so that you can, phase out all of that clutter, okay, that chaos, all right? And then the other book that I just finished listening to / reading was Miseducated, and that was a memoir by Brandon P. Fleming. Excellent, y'all. I'm telling you, oh my gosh, man, that brother talks about his life. Woo! I mean, it's one in the beginning, boy, he started talking about the roughness, the trauma. Okay, the trauma, unfortunately, I'm talking about like just deep, just bad, but he winds up, getting through it and, you know what I'm saying, and becoming successful. But again, like I said before, I'm gonna end on this, we want to start normalizing in the Black community, not having to go through trauma in order to think that we have to be successful. It's one thing, we all human, we're going to go through stuff. We're going to have trials and tests, tribulations, however you want to word it. Nobody's getting out of here unscathed, okay? Meaning that you're going to get touched by something. You're going to have a problem, all right? That's how we learn. You got to have a problem, and then it teaches you how to what? Solve the problem, right? So problems exist. However, we don't have to everything has to be trauma. I got beat with the extension cord. I was, made to sleep on the floor majority of my life. I didn't have a bed. It was roaches and rats everywhere. They was crawling on me. You don't have to have all of that and then say, oh, look at me now. I'm a famous actress. You know what I'm saying? I'm a surgeon now. And it's like, okay, yeah, but do you feel like you would want your child to go through all kind of hell and all kind of craziness in order to become successful? No. And honestly, unfortunately, a lot of people who suffer from mental illnesses is because of that inner child inside of them that was never healed. They were wounded so severely that they could never shake it. They just couldn't shake it, y'all. And so, they suffer, you know what I'm saying, on a mental level, on an emotional level. So again, like I said, we got to stop this. All right. So with that being said, y'all, thank you all again for listening to another episode of Real Reading Talk. My name is Miss Sasha, and please make sure that you read for at least 30 minutes a day.